Welcome to Politics Done Right. I am your host, Egberto Willies. This is a progressive program that will take the mystery out of politics. This is the program that will encourage you to make sure government becomes we the people. Whether you are liberal, progressive, conservative, or otherwise, you get to air your point of view. We are an independent media outlet that, unlike mainstream media beholden to corporations, we only owe allegiance to you. Remember, you can also send me a tweet at EGBERTOWILLIES. That is at Egberto Willies. Let us engage. It is Politics Done Right. Well, folks, welcome to one more edition of Politics Done Right. I'm Egberto Willies, your host. Thank you so kindly for being part of the show. We are going to have a great show for you as usual. Welcome aboard, AVQ, Senor Michael Rodman from Brooklyn, New York. He's the winner today. First in the chat. Second in the chat, Patrick Magner from Meow. He is in the chat. Numero tres is, who is numero tres? Paul Fleming from Powder Springs, Georgia. Welcome aboard, Mr. Fleming Sr. We also have in the house, Yvette Avery Harrod, Atlanta, Georgia. Love you, girl. How you doing out there? Bringing stuff up. Then we've got, of course, Joanna de Los Angeles, California. Welcome. Eric Hayes from Kingwood, Texas. We also have E2247 from all over. May Wood from Long Beach, California. And bringing it up, bring Lee Grant from Montgomery County in the chat. Hey, folks, in the chat for Substack, why don't you tell me the city and town that you're, or city and state that you're from? But welcome aboard, Matthew Ward, Margaret Altman, Daly, Melissa Harris, Sue Gilbert, L. Mann, Gail Litt, Shira, Levi Slater, Karen Dunford, among the several others inside of our chat. Look, I'm going to start on a tangent. That's not part of the program, but here's the thing. I wonder if Donald Trump understands that the only reason anybody gives him any respect is that he's the United States with the nuclear bomb, that people still have some level of dependency as long as they control the exchange markets and has a nuclear bomb and can throw an aircraft carrier on your shores, right? I wonder if South Africa was in the middle of Africa. Africa is huge. I wonder if they were in the middle of Africa, this president would kind of put Donald Trump in his place. It simply infuriates me that Donald Trump is actually taking on this issue about a white genocide occurring in South Africa, because it's ludicrous, it's stupid. South Africa has a better constitution than ours in that it is a humane constitution as opposed to a property document. And in as much as the land is 70% black, 80% black, and I think actually it is 93% black and other, and 7% white. Whites in South Africa controls about 70% of the land. And they have the nerve to say that somehow, they're taking these people's lands away, lands that really these people's ancestors came and stole. And they're talking about genocide. I think the United States need to have some level of humility, because no other country has effected a genocide as we did here in the United States of America. No other country has effected the type of genocide that we did in America, yet we want to preach to the rest of the world. And the thing about it is our killing doesn't start from our inception. What we did in Panama, what we did in Dominican Republic, what we are supporting in Gaza, we don't have the moral authority to tell anybody what they're doing. We should all just come together and in effect atone for our own sins. We forget about things like the Trail of Tears. We forgot what we've done to the Chinese. We forget about the internment of Japanese. We forget about all these things as we try to criticize other countries. Maybe we ought to look in the mirror and after atoning, after telling the rest of the world, yes, we understand, then we can start to say we are making amends for what we are doing. So again, we don't have the moral authority to bring these. And if we really cared, there are many places where genocides are really occurring. And we don't care about those people to bring them over. I wonder why. Let's be honest in the way we deal with these issues. But I'm not going to talk about this issue anymore because that is what Donald Trump wants. Donald Trump wants this to take up all our time, all our effort as they rape the country. And I won't be a party to that. Oops. I won't be a party to that. So let's talk about the real issues about what's happening in America that will affect you. And look, I don't want to see Lee Grant. I don't know what your video's about. I want to see absolutely nothing about South Africa because, again, like I stated, the wealth imbalance in South Africa is not commensurate with what the country is. So I don't want to hear about it. As Patrick Magnus says, Tanzania, East Timor, Afghanistan, El Salvador, Iraq, Iran, Yemen. Let's talk about real issues. Let's talk about real issues here. All right. When you guys show some sort of concern about our Palestinian brothers and sisters in Gaza, then we can talk. When you show some concerns about our brothers and sisters in Timor, then we can talk. But other than that, I don't want to hear it. All right. Let's see what else we got here. I want to say, let me read some of what Brother Rudnin has to say, or what he brought him. He always bring up some good initial articles. And Rudnin, if it's South Africa, I'm going to pass on that. The Guardian, U.S. legally deported Vietnamese and Burmese migrants to Sudan. Immigrants' rights advocates say White House violated court order and asked judge to order nearly a dozen people's return. Lawyers for the migrants made the request in court filing on Tuesday, directed to the U.S. judge Brian Murphy, who had barred the Trump administration from swiftly deporting migrants to countries other than their own, without first hearing any concerns that they had. I mean, I think that's wrong altogether. All right, we'll go to the next. The Hill, the Trump administration defends deportation flight to South Sudan, attacking the judge. You know, it's sad because we know South Sudan, there are issues over there as well. But, you know, again, they don't really care. All right, can you play this short? What is it about? Michael, is it there's a short that you gave me the other day that I got hit on YouTube for? Does this let me see what this is about before I play. Let's see. Let's see. I'll have to hold on that one. Let's see who wrote that one. Okay. I'm going to hold on that one for now. But anyhow, let's see who we got here. All right. I wasn't ready to take calls, but I'll take this real quickly. Who am I speaking to?
You are speaking with Brother Harry Dutton. That's who you're speaking with.
All right,
yeah.
Harry.
Okay, I'll be quick.
Ahead,
it infuriates me as well, Egberto, that this president wants to concentrate on some false narrative. I sent that in the text to you about some genocide happening to the Afrikaners over there in South Africa, which we know nothing could be further from the truth. At one time, there was a law passed in 1913 when blacks could not even own land. And because of Nelson Mandela's evidence, when he became president, they were able to change that so blacks could purchase land. Now, the other thing I heard today that disturbs me, I heard on NPR about a few hours ago, the Justice Department are going to, and this is George Floyd's anniversary, they're going to move away from civil rights cases concerning police abusing people's civil rights. Now, this is what these MAGA people voted for. And if you are a MAGA person and a person of color, and like my friend in Florida, voting for this convicted felon, look at what he's going to do to you, because they will, if there's federal crimes when police abuse people's civil rights, particularly people of that of color, I mean, what if that happens to my
Thank you,
friends who
Harry.
supported Donald Trump? Now they won't even investigate it.
Thank you, Harry. I got you. I got your message, my brother. You have a good one. All right, folks. Today, our friend from Social Security Works went out to Congress. He's been out there daily doing some work, and he dogged. What do you call that? Bird dogged a congresswoman who voted to cut Medicare and Medicaid from a district that really depends on it. And I call him up and say, hey, I need to have you tell me how things are going. So what I want to do is I want to start and play that for you, and then we'll take it on the other side.
We have Executive Director of Social Security Works, who is on the Hill confronting Republicans covering the Trump's attack on the working class. We have Alex Lawson with us today. Alex, how you doing?
Great. Thanks for having me, Egberto.
Well, let me tell you firsthand, you confronted Congresswoman Miller Meeks. And I thought that was excellent bird dogging that needs to be done over and over again. We have a whole lot of folks out there, Alex, that they're sending out all these feelers, help us save Medicare, but a lot of these folks are just not doing the job. I was extremely impressed with what you were doing in there in the halls of Congress. Explain to America exactly what's going on here.
I mean, your setup was right. What's going on is that the Republicans are currently, it looks like they do have the votes, but we will be fighting them tooth and nail all the way to the line and then beyond with accountability. But it looks like the Republicans have made their deals. All of their deals are losses for the American people. Unless you're a billionaire. What we're talking about is ripping healthcare away from 14 million Americans. You're talking about hospitals closing. Rural hospitals are in the middle of a collapse as is. If this bill gets across the finish line and is signed into law, there will be states with no hospitals in them. There will be rural states where there just aren't hospitals. And don't think that if you don't live in a rural area, that means you're okay. When hospital systems, health systems collapse, the ripple effects hit literally every single person in this country. What that means through the rise of uncompensated care and emergency room visits after people's health care is stolen from them, everybody's actual level quality of care that they get if they need it goes down, again, unless you're a billionaire. And why, Egberto? Why are they doing this? To give tax handouts to the wealthiest people in the history of the world. Elon Musk, the richest man in the world. That dude is going to get an enormous tax break. He's going to get another golden yacht. The majority of Americans, their tax bill is going up, massively going up. And what we're looking at is a huge transfer of wealth from the bottom 10% to the top 10%. The CBO just released that. But again, the easiest way to think of it is the Republicans are voting to steal millions of Americans' health care, food off their tables, the elimination of Meals on Wheels, all so that they can give giant tax handouts to the wealthiest people in this country.
Well, I want to recap because we just got an influx of folks that just came into our Substack Live. So I want to recap where we're at right now. We're speaking to Executive Director of Social Security Work, Alex Lawson. He's right now at Capitol Hill in the guts of Congress, confronting many of these Republican Congress people to really force them to acknowledge what they're doing to Medicare, Medicaid, SNAP, tariffs. Let me tell you, folks, it's important for us to find out. I don't know if you, with all the work that you're doing out there, Alex, I don't know if you read the new CBO report that actually says in as much as Congress requires regular order to change Medicare, that because of the law passed in 2010, I believe, these cuts, given that it won't reduce the budget by enough, will actually cut Medicare by $500 billion. So it's not only an $800 billion hit to Medicaid, we also are getting a $500 billion hit to Medicare proper. Go ahead, my brother.
I learned that, Egberto. I was on the Capitol steps last night at 1 a.m. With elected Democrats going into the Rules Committee. The Republicans started this process in the dead of night. 1 a.m. We were gathered there. That's when this kicked off. I will just, if your listeners don't know, you don't do things in the middle of the night if they're good. You don't do the popular things in the middle of the night. They're hiding what they're doing. They're lying about what they're doing. And what they're doing is exactly what you said. They're stealing 14 million people's health care. That's the destruction of Medicaid, the evisceration of the ACA or Obamacare. It is going to be a catastrophe. Hospital closures, community health center closures, the quality of healthcare that everybody in this country receives if they need it is going to go down. And last night at 1 a.m, Representative or Ranking Member Brendan Boyle, he's the highest ranking Democrat on the Budget Committee, he told me, I learned for the first time last night at 1 a.m. on the steps that despite all of their promises, they promise, we're not going to cut Medicaid. Of course they're cutting Medicaid. $700 billion out of Medicaid. They are promising we're not going to cut Medicare. $500 billion out of Medicare. And just remember that when you hear their promises that they're not going to cut Social Security, of course they're going to cut Social Security. Look what they did to the Social Security Administration. The Republicans only have one plan: steal our money and give it to their billionaire benefactors on Wall Street. That's their plan. Steal our money and give it to their billionaire donors who will keep them in office to further steal our money. It's a racket, Egberto. It's a racket.
Now, for our listeners just coming in, we're speaking to Alex Lawson, the Executive Director of Social Security Works. He's out there, he's at Congress right now on Capitol Hill. He's been addressing and speaking to several of the Congress people who are stealing our Social Security, who are stealing our Medicaid, who are stealing all these things as we speak. I want to speak directly to the audience. To those of you that are listening live, and to those of you that are going to listen to this on podcast and on Pacifica Network, there is still time for you to do what is necessary. Alex is out there fighting the good fight. He's out there confronting these people. Not everybody's doing it. A lot of folks are talking. He's out there fighting. Here's the other thing, folks. You have got to get in touch, especially if you're in a Republican district, you have got to get in touch with your senator and your congressperson, specifically your congressperson right now, and let them know that there is a price to pay if they vote for this bill. There is still time for you to make a change. There is still time, but you have to get up and do the work. It's not about essence anymore. It's not about, I don't have a choice anymore. You do, Alex.
Just remember, you've brought up, Egberto, a few times the video that I made with Representative Miller Meeks from Iowa's 1st Congressional District. This is a person who won by 800 votes. 800 votes. That's how many votes she won by to get her seat in Congress. Now, she's voted for already in Energy and Commerce, the bill. She voted for a bill that will steal healthcare from 67,000 people in her district. Now, reminder, she won by 800 votes. So we have to be there. And this is what I was trying to tell her. You're going to lose your job. You're going to lose your job because you are voting to steal tens of thousands of your constituents' healthcare so that you can give a tax handout to the richest people in this country. And we are going to be sure that your constituents know about that. So right now, actually in an hour in Iowa's 1st Congressional District, we're going to be having a rally at a hospital, which is almost certainly going to close if the Republican tax scam decimation of Medicaid and our healthcare goes forward. So we have to keep this fight up. We're not done here in the House, even if, the 5 families, and I do think that's an apt description of the Republican factions, named after the criminal families of the Italian mafia. The 5 families have all made their deals. They've all been bought off with, this or that. Even if that's the case, we have to go down swinging because this is not the end of the road. The Senate is still up. And remember what it looked like when we defeated Trump Care in Trump 1.0. Do you remember? It passed the House. People didn't know we were going to beat it until it happened. So never stop fighting.
Now, I want to add a little bit of context to that, right? Because one of the great things that occurred when McCain did this, I think that's the bill you're talking about,
yes,
when he tanked the bill, is that it was never effectuated. We have to make sure that this tax cut, this bill, is not effectuated, because if it occurs, it takes that much more effort. Even if the Congress is won by the right people in 2026, it'll take that much more effort to reverse this. So folks, you have to do your work now, today. Alex, give me a closer and I'm going to fix this video up and get it blasted out all over.
It's working. It's working. Your voices are being heard. We've delayed. Every moment that we buy is a moment that we have for this thing to fall apart. The five families hate each other almost more than anything else. So we have to be able to get in there and keep playing up the differences between, the Chip Roys of the Republican caucus and the Miller Meeks. We have to talk to all of the Republicans in those close districts and tell them every single one of the Republicans who is in a flippable district won by fewer votes than people would lose health care if this thing goes through. Miller Meeks is the most obvious one. She won by 800 votes. 67,000 people lose their health care. We have to send a loud and clear message. You vote for this, you lose your job. And remember, no matter what happens, the fight will continue. We will continue to fight this forever because these billionaires, they don't stop. And so unfortunately, that means that we have to not stop either. We have to be on offense, keep fighting to build the society, the world that we want. And that is not one where the billionaires have everything and everyone else is left to fight over the crumbs that fall off their table. The world that we're fighting for is in the richest country in the history of the world. Of course, everyone can have health care. Of course, everyone can have a great education without ending up in debt. Of course, everyone can have a secure retirement. It's obvious that we can do these things. All we have to do is ensure that the few billionaires who've corrupted this system are tossed out onto their ear, and we have a government that works for the people and not for the donor class.
We are speaking to Alex Lawson, Executive Director of Social Security Works. Alex is on Capitol Hill right now, fighting the good fight, ensuring that we get that info to fight these guys who are attempting to, as he says, steal our tax dollars. Alex Lawson, thank you so kindly for having been on Politics Done Right on Egberto Off the Record. You're doing some more than valuable work. You're being a hero out there on Capitol Hill for all of us. Now we got to get the job done. Thank you so kindly, my brother.
Thanks.
All right, folks, I hope you enjoyed that. He's doing some very important work out there, fighting for us. For all those, including those in our chats, that are maligning the work that this guy is doing. It's good that we are able to completely disregard the rubbish emanating from your vocal cords. Well, in this case, from your fingers. We can't sit back and just debate with you. We're not. We have work to do. We care about the American people, not about the gullibility of those who believe the crap coming from the right. We don't have the time for that anymore. To my listeners on Substack, to my listeners on Instagram, to my listeners on TikTok and YouTube and live, we don't have the time to argue with those who have compromised minds from what the right's doing. The good thing about the work that we are doing is when we are successful, lucky for them, They won't lose their Medicare. Their kids on disability won't lose their Medicaid. Their mom in a nursing home won't lose their Medicaid. Their relatives and cousins that are on SNAP won't go to school starving. Those kids that are dependent on school lunches will still get their school lunches if we are successful. If we are unsuccessful, those with big mouths and big fingers talking about the progressives are not telling you the truth, they will be the first ones and the ones more effectively hurt than anyone else. But we can't let that distract us. We can't let the possibility to see them squirm and suffer as the truth comes out. We can't wait for that, because remember, we are the humane folk. We are the true folks who care about humanity. We're the true folks who care about whether you succeed or not. We are not the ones that are dependent on a prejudice on just about everything. We're not. I want to show you the video that Alex was talking about, where he bird dogged the congressperson. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put that on the screen now. You should hear it in a minute.
Woman, I was wondering if you would just talk to us on your way over to the conference meeting.
No.
Last time you spoke with us, you lied to our face and said that you weren't going to vote for Medicaid cuts. But then you've actually voted for the largest cuts to Medicaid in the history of the country. Do you have any comments on that? Do you have any comment on the 4 hospitals in your district that are going to close because of your vote? Representative Miller-Meeks, I'm wondering if you have any comment on the health care that 67,000 people in your district are going to lose? Does it concern you that you only won by 800 votes? Congresswoman.
All right. I think we need to do a whole lot more of that. I hope we go ahead and do that. Let me tell you why, folks. Because these thugs, that woman there, she, as innocent as she looks, she will be responsible for the death of somebody's aunt, for the death of somebody's sister, for the death of somebody's father. Robert Davenport, thank you so kindly for that super chat. Robert says, progressives secure gains for all Americans. Right-wingers are busy speaking against their own best interests. Lucky for them, we will not stop. I could not have said that any better. Lucky for them, we will not stop. So they will continue to get the support so that they can continue living in their fantasy land. Michael says, Alex Lawson trying to get answers out of our representatives who aren't representing their people. They're representing their donors. But what we're doing is we are promoting all these bird dogs that we get. That is when you go in front of a congressperson who's screwing their constituents. And we are going to ensure that their constituents see that they're voting against their own constituents. It is so important. What these guys are doing in Congress is evil. And those that are in our chat that choose to be willfully ignorant, enough so to believe that what they're fighting. Look, common sense tells you that if you are cutting $800 billion from one program, $500 billion from another program, you're going to tell me you are not going to feel $1.3 trillion? Common sense evades so many. And that is where they choose willful ignorance. Again, thank you, my brother Robert Davenport, for your super chat. All right, folks, I want to talk to you a little bit about the transfer of wealth, transfer to the wealthy, okay? Because there's this thing here that let me put this on the side of the screen. the article says CBO report shows Trump GOP bill would spur unparalleled wealth transfer from poor to rich. I mean, and that's not hard to understand why. If enacted, this would be the largest transfer of wealth from the poor to the rich in a single law in U.S. history. Math does not lie. To our indoctrinated friends, math doesn't lie. The Nonpartisan Congressional Budget Office said Tuesday that the Republican legislation speeding through the U.S. House of Representatives would cut household resources for the bottom 10% of the Americans while delivering gains to the wealthiest in the form of tax breaks. If enacted, this would be the largest transfer of wealth from the poor to the rich in a single law in U.S. history, Bobby Cogan, Senior Director of Federal Budget Policy at the Center for American Progress, said in a response to the CBO analysis, which was released shortly before the start of a dead-of-night House Rules Committee hearing on the Republican reconciliation package. Look, before I continue with the article, I have a message for my friends because I heard this on a couple of channels. We have to start speaking in language that folks understand, right? A lot of times we use statements like, what is it? We'll say food insecurity, right? Food insecurity. Yeah, sounds nice, right? But our brothers and sisters in Appalachia don't know what the hell food insecurity means. Our brothers and sisters in the ghettos and the barrios who are food insecure don't know that when we write that Donald Trump and his party are increasing food insecurity on the poor, they're like, oh, what are they doing? Not locking up the food? No. Donald Trump and his people are going to starve you. Speak English that folks understand. To my progressive brothers and sisters, let's speak in language they understand. Donald Trump is going to make you hungry and he's going to kill you. It's that simple. Donald Trump is going to make your children hungry, which will decrease their level of being able to be educated. And your grandmother and your grandfather and your auntie in a nursing home, because of the lack of money that they're taking away and giving to the rich, it's going to kill you. Speak English so that folks will understand. Why We Fight on Substack says, we need to continue our protest nonstop and expand action to work stoppage, sick days from work, get loud, but remain peaceful. Why We Fight? I love you. Why We Fight is exactly what you said. L-Man says, when is the nightmare going to be over? You know when it's going to be over, my dear L-Man? It's going to be over when we work hard enough to ensure that we snuff out, first of all, the nincompoops, and secondly, that we actually vote the right people in and don't allow them to use all these crazy things. Oh, gender affirming, all these kinds of things that they want to have you tongue-tied with. Don't let them. Do transgender people have rights? Absolutely. And next subject. Because is a woman a woman? Yes. Next subject. Is a man a man? Yes. Next subject. Let's go ahead and do your health care. We don't allow them to pin us down on issues that really should not even be debatable. We just move forward. Continuing with the article. On average, according to the CBO, households would see an increase in the resources provided to them by the government over the 2026 to 2034 period. But the resources would not be evenly distributed among households. The CBO estimated in general, resources would decrease for households in the lowest decile, the lowest tenth of the income distribution, whereas resources would increase for households in the highest decile. The analysis takes into account an extension of soon to expire provisions of the 2017 Trump GOP tax cuts, as well as Republicans' push for this $1 trillion in combined cuts to Medicaid and the Supplemental Nutritional Program, SNAP, food stamps, which would primarily harm low-income Americans. And who are the lowest income Americans? MAGA. All right. The nonpartisan Congressional Budget Office's unprecedented analysis has confirmed what Democrats have known to be true. The GOP tax scam will hurt working families the most while delivering massive tax breaks for billionaires like Elon Musk, said the minority leader. But here's the worst part about that. Here's what's going to happen, right? We are going to give a tax cut, increase the deficit, and then those guys that we gave the tax cuts are going to loan us back our money. And when they loan us back the money, we are then going to pay them even more in interest payments. I mean, talking about the grift, we always talk about Donald Trump's grift, but my God, the grift of these guys, it put that to shame. All right, the analysis, the nonpartisan Congressional Budget Office, unprecedented analysis has confirmed what Democrats have known all along. Any claims otherwise are intentionally deceptive regarding the Republican plan to rip healthcare away from nearly 14 million Americans and take food out of the mouths of millions of people, including children and seniors, said Jeffries. Republicans are attempting to quickly jam this unpopular legislation through the House because they know that the longer they wait, the more will come to light about this cruel and unconscionable bill. For a party that claims to be the working class, this analysis indicates the opposite, but it's worse than that. They claim to be the working class and they claim to be the party of family values. What they're showing in this budget is they have little value for families because the policies that would help families, the policies that feed your children, the policies that keep you healthy, the policies that increase your wages, the policies that make sure that you make more are missing. And instead what we get is taking your money. And I want all of you folks listening, accusing MAGA. They are picking your pocket. They're taking the money out of your pocket through several streams. And let me tell you, how are they taking your money? Next week, when you go to buy groceries at Walmart, when you go to buy the tomatoes, when you go to buy the avocados, when you go to buy the celery, when you go to buy all these produce that we import from Mexico, all of them will have a premium on them. So the prices will start to go up. The price will start to go up. That is, and guess, by the way, let's be clear here. Every penny that you spend extra on that avocado is going somewhere. It's not going to China. It's not going to Nairobi. It's not going to Vietnam. It's going directly to Trump's treasury. And when it gets to Trump's treasury, he then says, I'll give that right back to the billionaire. So every tariff that you pay, the increase in price in the products you pay, is a payment to those wealthy people. That loss of Medicare that you're going to have now, that you're going to be running around trying to see if you can get free health care somewhere, that savings went into the pockets of a millionaire, of a billionaire. You see, we have to speak in these terms. These guys are raiding your pockets. So as 2026 comes along and you start to see that life continues to get harder, what do you think is happening? It's what you've done to yourself. If you don't make those calls to your congresspersons today, if you don't make your calls to Congress, and let me see what that is. I mean, if you don't make your calls, 202-224-3121. If you don't make that call and tell your congressman, whether Democrat or Republican, if you vote for this bill, I will be wholeheartedly working to make sure you never hold another political office. And I'm not talking to tell them just that they're going to lose your current job. I am saying they should never again hold office, because anybody who votes for this bill is committing murder. My brother Patrick, talk to me.
Hey, I just wanted to kind of chime in with the billionaire grift. The two billionaires who happen to be evangelical preachers in Texas that have Abbott in their pocket, they made their money off of fracking. Now, you and I have talked about fracking a little bit, and I've already established that fracking is not a for-profit venture.
No, it's
never
not.
Ever made a profit.
Right.
They get paid to produce more every year, so that they're not getting money out of profit as long as they show an increase in production. The American taxpayer makes sure that they become more rich. It's not what we voted for, but that's the system. Now, so what we did was we took our tax money and then we handed it to billionaires to take out natural gas from the ground in exchange for clean water. And what Trump did was, to make money, he allowed and is even subsidizing a Saudi Arabian refinery for liquid natural gas in Louisiana.
Yeah.
All these rednecks are jumping up and down thinking that these are jobs for them. They're not. And that liquid natural gas is going to be subsidized by the taxpayer to be compressed and sent to Saudi Arabia. Does that sound like a good idea?
No, it's not a good idea. It's funny. They like capitalism when it's anything with us, but they love socialism otherwise. All these subsidies that these folks, but it's deeper than that, right? You know why they put these plants in Louisiana and other places? Because they don't have regulations to protect their shores as they should. They don't have regulations to protect their waters. They don't have regulations to protect their air. I mean, yes, there are federal regulations that are implemented in the case of Texas by the TCEQ, but they don't do their jobs because they're so lenient on regulation. So I find it amazing that these oil companies come into these areas and create, in effect, cancer alleys. And these people just, pay the cost. What they don't realize as well, Patrick, is the following, right? When a company comes into your fold and they build a plant and they pollute the groundwater and they pollute the grass around, right? And then they leave, right? You are left with pollution. You're left with illnesses, and it's not like they pay for the illness. We have these things called externalities, which would be the sickness caused by what's not charged, and they don't pay for that. You pay for your sickness, whether by going to the doctor or not being able to work, etc. You bear that cost, not the oil company. And those are the things that we have to look at as well. But thanks for bringing that up. What else you got for me?
Well, I was just going to say, I was going to agree with you that the refining is the dirtiest portion of that. And to get somebody else to do the dirtiest portion of processing, you've snowed them. And that's exactly what happened to Saudi Arabia. And Saudi Arabia is a part of a cartel, OPEC, that we are not involved in. And
Right.
OPEC manipulates our prices here. They'll ramp up and drop production so that the wildcat fields in Texas and other places go bankrupt.
Absolutely.
They do this constantly. So they're at economic warfare with us and Trump gave them a refinery. We had to kick them out of the stock market at the turn of the century because Saudi Arabia had over $1 trillion in the stock market for no other reason but to pull it out to hurt our economy.
Actually, yeah. Hey, wait, I'm getting another call, but I think he's calling the wrong number. Make sure you call the 281-823-7747. I don't know if that's what he called because I didn't get a ringer on this last call. Call again, Brackens. Call again. So, yeah. I mean, I can. There we go. Now he called the right number. Hold on a second. All right. It seemed like you finally called the right number, Mr. Brackens.
Yes. Sorry, put that on my Android. Hello, Mr. Egberto. Glad that I could get through on this line.
Patrick is on as well. Listening, go ahead.
I have one other statement, and I'll give it over to Ray.
Oh, okay.
Hey,
go
Ray.
ahead, Patrick.
I have one other statement. I'll give it over to Ray.
Go ahead, Patrick.
I want to make sure some of our listeners are young enough that they don't know this, but 15 out of the 19 hijackers that flew planes into our building were from Saudi Arabia.
Exactly. Exactly. It is funny how, we get. I think about if Obama went ahead and shook the hands of the new Syrian president who was a part of Al Qaeda. Think about if he went over to Saudi Arabia and took a plane. I want you guys to think about all the crazy things that Donald Trump did, but he gets away with it because of who he is. Think about if Obama would have ever gotten away with that. A felon in the house. What a judge called a rapist in the house. I mean, yeah. I think it's just amazing what we've become. Not what we've become, what too many have become. Anyway, you're done with that, Patrick?
Yes, sir. I'm ready to listen to Ray.
And don't forget, we have our coffee coming up, and I like the idea that you have in the last email that you sent me, brother. We just have to figure out when and where, okay?
Great, thank you. I think you can help me.
All right.
Yes,
okay,
sir.
Harry, you called already. Harry, you called already. Go ahead.
Let me get it right quick. So, I want to speak on something I heard this morning, brother. I think it was Bart or Brian, one of those numbnuts that listen in the morning that you give them space respectfully. But, he was talking about the Health and Human Services Director wore a dress under Biden, and that makes me not trust their judgment. But yet, I find it ironic every day. And, there's this guy on Instagram who trolls the hell out of him, and rightfully so. Every day I find it that only in a reality TV show based type of government like Donald Trump is running a kangaroo court, if you will, do we have a Health and Human Services that literally sounds like he's knocking on death's door. I'm sorry. You might not want to make fun of, but that man sounds like that worm ate a little too deep into his brain, and it's just a matter of time before he literally croaks, because he sounds like there's a forever frog or three in his throat. But I digress. And then
the other point I want
to... Yes. You know what? Well, hey, that made me think about another thing, because, George Carlin made a joke about, being inoculated by swimming in the Hudson River because they swam in raw sewage and they were tempered in raw, and that was a funny joke, and it brought me to the point you said just a moment ago, Egberto, that we need to speak in plain English to people. Tell them the Republicans are passing policies that are starving you. Don't talk about food insecurity. That sounds too technical and too lefty liberally, like for a lot of people, especially here in Texas. They just cut funding that's going to literally starve your community. Make it simple.
I want to advertise something here. I want everybody that is able to converge go ahead and go to netroots. I think it's netroots.com. I'll be heading to netroots. I go there every year. in this year. It's going to be in closer to home. It's going to be in New Orleans. If you can get to New Orleans and sign up go to netroots.com and sign up. And by the way, if there's anything, let them know that Politics Done Right send you there. But go to netroots.com and think about spending a weekend in New Orleans. Get a couple of brothers, a couple of sisters, and just go ahead and together rent rooms and come and see what a big, huge progressive get together can be like, and learn how to do things. Now, the only problem I have sometimes with these groups is what I just pointed out there. When we are in that space, it is okay to talk about food insecurity. It's okay to talk about the unhoused. All those things are okay to do, right? But when we are out in the field, we have to speak in a language commensurate with the people that we're talking to. And this is not saying talk down or anything like that. I am just saying most people don't talk about food insecurity. Most people don't talk about the unhoused. Most people don't talk, they talk about, damn it, I'm homeless. Number 2, I'm hungry. Let's do that where we need to. That's how Republicans beat us, because the people feel like they feel their pain. One. Yeah, they feel like
they say
right. They don't give a damn about the working class, but because they look at the bill. The bill is talking nicely to people, but it's giving all the money to the rich. Now we talk with all these fancy words while we give to the poor, while we go ahead. I'm not talking about the neoliberals now, but while we do the right thing, we have to get with the program. Do you guys both agree?
Yes, and to that point, I mean, we need to let people know the reason why their paychecks are not getting bigger is because the corporate class is literally taking their money that they worked for and using policies that they funnel to these politicians to make sure that their paychecks stay smaller. And then they invest in other markets like real estate to make sure that not only are they keeping you poor with low class wages, but they make sure that you can't even afford to have a place to live. And that's what we need to talk about.
I'm glad you mentioned that stuff about place to live, because that adds to the discussion. And we're running low on time, but I want to say this to you guys and everybody that's listening. This is an important concept. I imagine all of you remember, including some of the younger ones, 2008, the crash, the economic crash, the real estate crash that occurred. Let me tell you what, these guys knew what they were doing, right? They were giving loans to a lot of people that had inflated price on homes, etc. So they had a whole lot of people that had loans. One, they couldn't afford. And 2, the value of the homes were never what they loaned the homes out on. That's one part. So when the crash occurred, all the banks did was to take back all that property at a huge discount. What that means is that these people were paying on those notes all the while until they stopped paying. The banks took these homes back and kept them off the market. Do you think we really have a housing shortage? I want you to go to Miami and see how many of those buildings are empty. I want you to go around Atlanta and see how many buildings are owned by corporations that are empty. But they're keeping it that way to keep the pricing high. So, I mean, and then with the tariffs that Donald Trump just put on soft woods, right? It's going to make the construction of new homes more expensive. What do you think that do to the price of all those extra homes on the market right now? Those homes on the markets that, if you can buy a new home as opposed to an old house, you're going to buy the new house. Well, make the new house price prohibitive, and suddenly the old homes start to increase in value. I mean, the capitalist scam that is occurring here that goes unsaid, that nobody talks about, is what's crazy. And that's why we have Politics Done Right. And I say that from the depths of my heart. It is to inform of what's going on. Harry, you called already. Harry, my dear brother, we'll talk tomorrow in the morning. So I mean, it is so important. We got to close down now, my friend. So give me a closer, Harry. I mean, a closer, Magner, and a closer, Brackens.
I had a closer and then I got to everybody.
Oh, you're breaking up, Patrick. Okay, go ahead, Ray.
Yeah, I want to close with this. In the morning, your brother said about the person in the dress. Well, America, as a matter of fact, the world went through a transition when a young man by the name of Robert Prevost, at age 69, converted to be Pope Leo. He changed his name. Oh, and yeah, he was wearing a garb that could be perceived as a dress. And, but for whatever reason, we accept that transition because it's religious. And that's all I got to say about that.
Thank you, my brother. Okay, go ahead and close it for me, Patrick. All right, Patrick. I'm sorry, man. Yeah, we can't understand anything that you're saying. It seems like you're in a bad place and breaking up. So we're going to close it right now. So let me just tell folks, thank you guys for listening to the show. Please remember, when the show goes into podcast, share it. We got to keep folks informed on all these issues. I appreciate you being here. Now, the one thing I want to do is at the end of the shows, I try to do a short ask. And my ask is that you please become, those of you who have the wherewithal to do so, to please become paid subscribers of our newsletter. It's amounts to about a coffee. And I'm pretty sure many of you can say yes for the coffee. I need to get 600 more paid subscribers to to my newsletter. So I'm asking all of you who have the ability to do so to please go to politicsdoneright.com. Please go to politicsdoneright.com/newsletter, politicsdoneright.com/newsletter, and put in that in both chats. And please consider becoming a paid subscriber of our newsletter. The only way we can continue doing this, these videos, these things, all these things that we do, is to be financially viable. And it is I can tell you because I do this all by my lonesome. And if I could show you the setup that we have here with all the screens, it's rather, it's a lot of work, but we do it. We want to do it. We want to flood the zone with the progressive information, the truthful information, but we can only do that with your support. So I ask kindly to please consider going to politicsdoneright.com/newsletter and consider becoming a paid subscriber of our newsletter. It subsidizes all that we're doing here, which is, I know you understand, is important work. Okay, got to get out of here. My name is Egberto Willies. This is Politics Done Right, and you guys know how I end this baby. I am what? Out!
We spend a lot of time deconstructing the news, trying to parse it into a form that everybody can understand. We try to find those little nitpicks where it flies above the fray, etc. If you really like these videos that we do, I want to ask a big favor. Please go ahead, number 1, subscribe to our channel, and number 2, please join if you can. Thank you so kindly for watching. Keep watching. Please remember to share. We must populate the entire internet with our progressive message, a message that we know is what most Americans say that they want. So help us, please join.